Hello to the world. I am starting a new format. Hopefully this is going to work when I upload it to Instagram. Excuse me. To give a very quick backstory as to what's happening now. Sunday, I did Dwell on It Live, right, on Instagram at 6 p.m. and did the thing as normal. And when I went to post a video and then convert it to IG Live or whatever, or IGTV, pardon me, it turns out that the audio didn't come along with it, which was not cool. So I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll do another follow-up episode right away, and did that, and for all intents and purposes, the exact same thing happened. During some troubleshooting and whatnot, like I know it's definitely not my mic, right, because I'm speaking right now and the mic is on, and if I speak, so turning the mic back on is like, I know when the mic's on, it's a big red light, can't miss it. And even then, the download, what was interesting too is like if I would download the file to my computer because I want to like make a YouTube replay or whatever with it, it would download, no audio, big surprise. But then if you tried like moving the time to go forward a little bit on one, maybe, or might have been both of the videos, either way, but it would freeze, right? Like it would essentially corrupt the file. So there's something that clearly happened with both of those episodes. I haven't heard back from Instagram support yet. And this is now, I believe, the fourth time in 5 weeks that there's been some sort of glitch or something regarding the file, right? Where I needed to like uninstall, reinstall the app or clear the cache or something along those lines. So something is happening, not sure what, waiting to get feedback on it. So what I'm going to do in the interim, right, or perhaps permanence, who knows, right, is I'm going to upload on my phone or record on my phone, upload this on Instagram at the same schedule, and then I'll have it with me where I can start working on the replay as well, which I post, I think, as I mentioned, to my own personal YouTube channel. And what that replay is essentially this exact copy, except it's a little more compressed, right? That it's like any silences in audio or pauses, right? Like I use a software called Reaper, and it just helps like eliminate a lot of those. Takes a decent percentage off of just silent audio, or silent spots, I should say. Just keeps the pace of speech up a little bit. Plus, if I, helps eliminate some ums and uhs, and I know I have a habit of saying right all the time, so when there's just out of place, I snip those out too, just to keep the flow going. So like I said, it makes for a decent replay. So what I did do, right, is I kept the cards, right? And I'm going to go through those same questions again, and I will do the best that I can to share the same enthusiasm I had on the same time when I did that first episode. My Lord, there were some of these that were just, I was so passionate about, right? But I don't want to fake it either. So I want to do the best that I can to share that same enthusiasm. And then, like I said, this is going to be the projected format going forward until I either hear back from Instagram or recognize some opportunity out of this. Because, for example, having a little bit more of a flexible schedule to create an episode and upload can help when it comes to looking for anyone else who wants to help guest host or whatever too, because it's been difficult to land the spot for many people, whether it's because of work or school or so on, so or volunteering and whatnot too. So there could be a lot of potentials that come out of this, but what do I do? Anyone who knows me well enough, look for an opportunity in a situation, and this is exactly it. Where instead of saying like, well, this sucks, it's broken, it's corrupt, it's not going to work anymore, I'll just come up with another solution that's still going to give the same result in the big picture. How tough can that be, right? Right? Okay, so let's get this going here. Would you consider yourself materialistic? No, I don't think so. If I remember the definition of materialistic, it's like having goods, but not only having goods, but you use your assets to define worth. I definitely don't think I'm like that. I like things, don't get me wrong. I love shiny new things, but I don't go out of my way for them. If I'm shopping for something, I do the best that I can to get best value out of it, for sure, but I don't immediately go straight to the top of the price tags and be like, oh, I need that one, or I need this because it's, it represents status because of whatever, whatever, whatever. But if I get something, I certainly want to get something that is, like what I would consider decent, right? Like I'm not afraid of spending $1 for value, because like I do like the quality of product or performance or longevity or whatever it would be. So I don't think I'd consider myself materialistic. Like two tales of two stories. So I just recently bought a new mic last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it be, but it's a HyperX Quadcast. And not a cheap mic by any stretch, but did some homework on it when I was looking for a new mic. And, good value, good price point, good versatility. It's going to serve its purpose, right? And I even on top of that, I found it on Amazon in the warehouse deals bit too, right? So I got it refurbed or whatever it would be for, cheaper than retail and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But all in all, pound for pound, it is reviewed very well. And one day, someday, if I can actually find myself getting around to playing games, it'd be nice just to have a mic like that, because I was getting tired of using my inline mic on my headphones, and I have a decent amount of headphones too, but the inline mic on that just wasn't making me happy, especially when it comes to if I was messing around with stuff like karaoke too. And so mentioning games, so funny enough, my MacBook right here, this is a 2013 MacBook Pro. It is met obsolescence because of its the most recent operating system update. It's not eligible for it. And I just found out, as a matter of fact, that my PC that I've got in my bedroom, that apparently is 12 years old, has now also reached obsolescence too, because it won't take the Windows 11 update unless I did a processor upgrade. So both of these two computers are like super clunky in the big picture. They're still serviceable for what they need, but I'm not running out the door to go ahead and get the 2021, 2022 MacBook Pro or whatever, just because these are old, right? I will absolutely, if the price was right and the opportunity came up and it was available in my budget, would I upgrade? For sure. But I'm not being like, my Mac's out of date, therefore I have to throw it out and get a new one. Same thing with my gaming systems and whatever too. Like I've got Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4, right? But I'm not going to get, what is an Xbox Series X or a PS5 just because they exist. And even if I did that, then that means it would be right for me to go ahead and upgrade my TV too, because I don't have a 4K TV. I've got like a really nice Panny Plasma, right? Gorgeous TV, right? It's still great picture. I'm in no rush to change that. And believe me, like I have a past life experience of audio video sales and not inexpensive stuff. So I know this TV still is, putting out a decent picture for what I'm asking it to do, but I'm not going to be getting the most out of the other knickknacks if I don't upgrade or replace this. So I don't think that's materialistic at all. I have things, but I know that if I'm not needing a new thing, I'm not buying it arbitrarily. What would constitute a perfect day for you? Every day is a perfect day. This is one of the questions that I was so enthusiastic about right last time, because I'm happy and I'm me and I'm alive. Every other part of the day is just a machine of the day, however it goes. Some days are easy, some days are difficult. Some days you can reflect on thinking that they're memorable, and there's other days that you wish are forgettable. But I get out of bed excited every single day. Coming from a past life where I would go to bed hoping that it's the last time that I needed to worry about going to bed, every day is a perfect day for me now. Easy. Every day is a perfect day because I'm just... I'm happy and I'm alive. And not alive by having a pulse, but alive. I have spirit, I have purpose, I have meaning, I have enthusiasm, I have excitement. That's perfect to me. Do you ever look for support during your transition? Do you have or look for support during your transition? No, not really, right? It took me long enough to convince myself to finally get a hold of trans healthcare at clinic because I felt like I could do it all by myself, but it got to the point clearly where I couldn't. So I don't know if that's for support or out of desperation. I feel very independent when I do a lot of my own any type of problem solving or anything like that, and trying to come to terms with myself is no different. So by the nature of things, I was supported during transition, but I don't think I looked for it like I was trying to get answers. It was more like I ran into a wall and this is the path I must take. Like for example, during trans healthcare, many times that my social work would try to recommend me to participate with trans support groups right through Rainbow Resource Center, and I just couldn't buy into it because all I wanted was I just wanted my body and my mind to finally like connect. I didn't want to talk it out. I didn't want to hear other people's experiences. I just wanted to get me to just cooperate with me. Is it the right policy? Probably not. Do I recommend it? Not really. Because if anyone's extroverted enough to participate in groups and want to be around others and get their life experience, totally do it. There's a reason why support groups exist, right? Because they work. But they're not for everybody too, straight up. Like I said, for myself, I would rather just do my diligence, right, on getting myself educated about me, right, and go from there. When it came to personal networks, that my personal networks at all points are always like just about as big as a hula hoop anyway. But even with that, I was never reaching out asking them how to. If anything, they were just sounding boards, right? Or what was nice is if they would check in just to see how I'm doing or whatnot. But rarely was it ever looking for help with something. If anything, right? I will say one thing that was super duper helpful was when it came to seeing if people had connections that I could trust for stuff like hair, right? Or nails or so on. Because I didn't want to just push through life and find my way into salons and hope I'm accepted or whatnot. I would much rather have help with friends or allies who knew somebody who knew that they could, do the things that I wanted. And that was great. That was super helpful, right? And again, right, would I consider that support? Yeah, in that case I would, right? Because that was me asking. But otherwise, like I said, when it came to the culmination of me finally getting into trans healthcare and whatnot was largely out of desperation because I knew it was at that point in my life was the only option, right? Because if I didn't do it, then who knows if I ever would have woken up to try again, right? So that's probably the best way to put it. I stayed, but like I said, that's largely just a personal thing, not really a transition thing. I'm very, 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 very much the person that if I need something, I figure it out myself. And then whatever happens from there happens. If a solution to my need it can be handled by someone else and I can delegate it off, great, right? Or if they offer to do it, great. But if I realize that I want or need something, I'm figuring out how to get it, and then just go from there. Have you experienced side effects from your meds? I pee a ton. My lord, do I pee a ton more than ever now. That's the only one I can think of in terms of a direct side effect. Otherwise, everything else is just kind of, oh, hey. Maybe that's a side effect. That's funny. Okay, let me share a story. I take 4 prescriptions every day. 3 for transition, 1 for personal. Using the last one first, I take modafinil every day for my sleep disorder. I have type 2 narcolepsy, which for all intents and purposes means perpetual daytime sleepiness. Kind of like, you know how Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk's like, don't worry, I'm always angry or whatever, and he can just turn green whenever he wants. I can have a nap wherever I want, right? Like not whenever, wherever. I can nap now if I really wanted to. Always tired, always tired. Still functioning, right? Obviously, right? But it's just always sleepy time. So that said, now that that's known, don't yawn, don't yawn, don't yawn, don't yawn. I'm good. Meds for HRT. I take cyproterone, I think that's how it's pronounced, right, which is hormone blocker. I take estradiol, right, which is estrogen. And I take progesterone, which is kind of like estrogen. Now, progesterone is interesting in the sense that it also induces sleepiness, just by the nature of things. So yawning, do I know if that's just the sleepiness, right, or if it's just the progesterone pushing additional sleepiness? I got 8 hours of sleep last night, which is really nice. So I can't say I'm just inherently exhausted. So that may or may not be a side effect. I don't really look too deep into it because I'm tired anyway. So if it's just tired or more tired is the same amount of tired if you ask me. But yeah, otherwise when it comes to like direct side effects, I pee a ton. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's the only one that I can really think of off the top of my head. What song would you send to someone as a way to come out to them? Oh, this was one that I wish I was as enthusiastic as I was in the first time too, because I really loved this question for two reasons. I remember writing this down a long time ago when I was also starting to consider feeling like I should get around to making a transition timeline video. And I was trying to think of what songs would speak to me there. But that's aside from the point. To directly answer the question, I wish I knew, for two reasons. One, my favorite type of music is ambient, actually. Like, I love string music, like piano, violin, acoustic guitar, right? And I can, like, literally one of the YouTube streams I have open right now, it's, what's it called here? Deep focus music, 3 hours of ambient study music to concentrate, because with work, and it's just it's beautiful. It's all it is. And then when it comes to like music with like lyrics, whenever anyone asks me about a song that I like, I'll use karaoke as an example. It's like, hey Tay, what are you gonna sing? All of a sudden, I forget every single song that I've ever known, ever, and then I'm like, what? How do music? Gone. All gone. I have a list. I keep a list, right? That I take a picture of and keep on my phone. That if I'm hearing a song that I like, right? And this list is within earshot, right? Or reach or whatever. I'll write down that song, right? And they're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll give it a rip or whatever. And yeah. Otherwise, the bulk majority of these I would completely forget existed, let alone something that I kind of remembered. And then going back to what I was mentioning about karaoke, the amount of time other people would sing songs, I'm like, hey, I know that song. I've heard that song. And then I forget to write it down. Now when it comes to identifying a song that's actually got a story behind it, now I'm even worse the person to ask for that. So let me try to unpack it a little bit in a way that I hope can be helpful. So for myself, if I came out to somebody, or when I've come out to somebody in the past, I felt it was important to be direct about it, but not always right out of the gate, because what I would be doing just over the course of time or life or whatever it would be, is I would plant little seeds, right, or allow little nuggets of information to exist, but at least also just kind of direct the conversation or the experience in some sort of way to get a better understanding about that person's worldview, so I can understand if they're a safe place for me. And then after I would figure out if they were a safe place, then I would get more direct at it. Because, okay, assessment figured out, they're an ally, or they can be supportive, or everything at least suggests to me that I'm not going to lose anything by being honest with them, and yada, 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 yada. So I would be covert, I guess I should say, right out of the gate, but when it came to, like, crunch time, I'd get to the point, because when it comes to transitioning, and when it comes to coming out to people, anything less than direct leaves a choice of, or like a choice, leaves a chance of a risk of, you know, whether it's misinterpretation or just dulling around it or whatever. This is your life. Like, remember, this is your life. And to be in control of it, right? And say, here's who I am, And I wanted to share that with you because you're important to me about that. Is really important. Dancing around otherwise might leave just that seriousness on the table while the information still goes along, right? You gotta just, I'm me. Here's who I am. Now, that said, what type of song would we use? I have a list, right? There's nothing here in this list I can think of off the top of my head, by the way. So, what song speaks to you, though? If there's a song that you just happen to listen to that you like, whatever it is, maybe there's some lyrics in there that you can interpret as a way that are valuable for you, but do a couple things before you just pick words and try to force an interpretation out of it. Do a little homework about it. Do a little homework about the songwriter or the artist, right? And first find out, are they allies? Are they allies to you, right? Because you don't want to use a song that on paper means something to you, but it turns out that the artist is a severe bigot. That's weird. Then also, if it's possible, some sites like offer like song meanings, or you can even find articles about an artist sharing what their passion was for writing the story, right? See if that's aligned too, because you don't want to force an interpretation on something that's already defined. So those are things that I feel are important starts. Bonus points if there's a trans artist that you really like. Again, I wish I could just think of some names off the top of my head. I have a list, right? But I'm confident, right, that there's got to be a trans artist out there, or two of them, that have songs that are written based on personal motivations. Perhaps there's something relatable in there too, and possibly even in a genre that you like. So regardless of all those, when you manage to find a song that kind of tags all those, then you can share that song, whether it's directly to an individual or social media or whatever. Share the song, grab a snippet of the lyrics that resonate with you, right? I really like this song, I really like these lyrics, and what I really, really like is how the artist, right, is an ally to the trans community, or the artist is super supportive of their trans sister, and that's important to me because I'm trans too, right? And there's a really, really nice way to put everything together to share your story and then also show that other people, right, write about it too. That's what I would do if I needed to find myself in that position again today. Definitely not there because here I am, world. I really wish that I had a song that I could just point at and be like, I love this song, and if you like it too, please use it. But ambient music's my jam, right? I said last week I'm super cool at parties, right? Believe me, I can rock out, but I don't know, I just love chill. What encouraged you to come out? Were there other times you felt you should have but didn't? Okay, so I was joking about this before too, and I even said it last week. My handwriting is shit. Just like, and that hasn't changed, and it's not changing. I try once in a while, right? But yeah. So anyway, what encouraged me to come out? Were there other times you felt you should have but didn't? Okay, I know I've shared the story. I'll be happy to share it again. I'll try to abridge it because anyone who's heard this already, I don't know how many more times I want to repeat it, but it is an important story, so I'm happy to share it. George Floyd's murder was the X factor for me for a few reasons. I was already starting HRT in February of 2020, and Floyd's murder was right at the end of May of 2020. So at that point, I was already starting to feel effects from HRT, right? Like they were certainly affecting my body, just both in physical nature and in mind, and I knew that it was getting more and more relevant to me that I 100% was on the clock, right? Like, but I knew I was on the clock, right? And I knew that I was getting more and more aware that at some point or another I'm going to have to start sharing myself to the world, because especially during that time during COVID, we're all at home, stay home, don't touch anything type of stuff, that, you know, if at the rate things continue to go, it's not like I'd go to the office and nobody would be like, hey, are those new, right? And they're like, oh, you noticed, right? So anyway, that was one that I already knew I was on the clock. And two, so Floyd's murder was just the global social crisis that came from it, with like the world being on fire of injustice towards Black people, and just an awareness about discrimination in general, and the hazards of patriarchy versus minority groups and so on. The world was absolutely burning. And not even just that, though, was the fact that most people, it felt like to me, totally forgot that it hasn't ended. What was it, like 4 or 5 years prior, Colin Kaepernick got punted out of the NFL, pardon the pun, for taking a knee, right, about police brutality against Black people. And the media was all over that, right, for a period of time. And then they scooted on to talk about something else because they got bored of covering it. And so because they stopped covering it, people stopped talking about it, while people are still trying to address violence against Black people by police, right, and so on. The media is talking about something else, and then all of a sudden it happens again, gets back into the news, and everyone's like, oh, this is terrible. It's been terrible, and it is terrible, and it continues to be terrible. Hey, everyone, recognize, right, that talking about what the media talks about is a really, really shitty worldview, because you can't really understand everything that's happening on the planet in 45 minutes. FY fucking I. Knowing that I had an opportunity to shake shoulders in my own workplace, in my own social networks too. I'm not Black, very clearly. I have no idea what racism is like, and I do the best that I can to continue to educate myself about that. But I knew that with the tone of the planet talking about discrimination and awareness about minorities, right, and abuse caused from white supremacy and white nationalism, that I had an opportunity to come out abruptly and shake the shoulders of people who thought they had a safe space by being bigoted around me, to get them to recognize their worldview as well too, so that they can go ahead and be more aware of what they say and what they do around others. That, I think that encompasses the everything there too. I feel like there was a third point that I had, but I think I kind of blended it into the previous one. But it was just, oh yeah, no, actually I didn't. It was close to my birthday, because I told myself a while back, years ago, 2017 or so, that I made a commitment to myself that I 100% am coming out no later than my 40th birthday, because I told myself that at least the back half of my life, quote unquote, can't not be authentic, and the world must be a better place by then. And as it was coming right close to my 39th birthday, right, from when Floyd's murder happened, it was very evident the world is not becoming a better place, at least as to what, you know, would be in the ideals for a trans woman like me. And so I figured there's no point waiting anymore. There's no point waiting, because it's not going to change without you doing anything about it. And that was it. Were there other times that I felt I should have but didn't? I can't remember if I was alluding to it earlier about just sharing what I know. Like, even back to my earliest memories, I never would have imagined my reality was my reality. I remember, you know, wishing that this could be my reality, even at my earliest memories, by you know, seeing other people and being inspired by them and so on. But I never believed that this would actually be my path. And so when it came to coming out, come out about what? Like, so my future ex-wife, right, back in 2003, her and I were talking about my pre-transition life, right? Like, she knew. But again, even then, I only knew what I knew about me at the time. I didn't have this big grand plan, and only shared little snippets of information. And same thing with individuals as time would go on, right? I would only share the most about what I knew about myself as I knew at the time, as it felt right for that person. So I don't think that I really could have gotten to this point earlier, unless there's not even unlesses, because I wasn't in that headspace to do those jumps. So kind of, but no, right, is the best way I got that. How do you feel about your relationship with your mother? When I came out to them and they, and then mom ended up giving a very authoritative, cold, institutional response, that was enough. Getting the email saying, call me back or I'm doing a wellness check on you or something along those lines. No. I spent my entire life learning about me and also learning about the people around me. Not all at once, obviously, but when it would be important to me, I'd put the time to learn. And over the past handful of years, I have grown exponentially as a human being. There's no question about that, especially as I learn to accept myself more. That doesn't mean that others can't do the same work to learn and also show that learning is wanted, right? Or being attempted or whatever. Getting a subject line email on my birthday says lots. Like, I don't remember what it said. Happy birthday. If you want to get together for a drink or coffee, let us know. I haven't seen them in Lord knows how long, and what, I'm supposed to just gallivant into some coffee shop, be like, hey, what's up? What's new? No, sorry. Maybe it's not right for me to feel like that. I'm not interested in being interrogated. It's okay learning, and it's also okay acknowledging the misses and the losses, because I could just as easily say I've never lived for 39 years, and I can look in certain directions about why, and to just be like, well, shit happens, is something that is a pretty big ask to ask from anybody. Do you feel it's worth journaling your transition for others to learn? I want to, but I'm afraid no one will understand it. So I want to reframe that if we can. Do you feel it's worth journaling your transition for others to learn? How about this? I feel it's worth journaling your transition for yourself, and if others learn because of that, that is excellent. Journaling is about self-care, right? Journal for yourself. Journal for yourself. Journal to share your experience, to be vulnerable about it, right? Remember the words shame versus vulnerable? I think I was saying that earlier. I'm trying to remember if I said this time or if I said it in the previous videos on Sunday, but either way, just to recap on that. Shame, right? Shame is one of the biggest obstacles that I had in terms of dealing with myself, with coming to terms with myself and whatnot. And my social worker from clinic was giving me that key word that really stuck with me, right? And to be like, to counteract shame, you must be vulnerable. I was like, oh, fuck, that makes sense, right? And become vulnerable. So to journal and share and be vulnerable, that's for yourself. That's your own personal growth. And like I said, for others to learn from it, right, is a byproduct of that. Doing it with the intention for others to learn means you're holding classes and seminars, and that's not journaling. Excuse me. I want to, but I'm afraid nobody will understand it. That is, well, based on three things. One, some people just don't get things. Two, your articulation. And three, the ability for clarification if necessary. And so you can counteract, right, or provide solutions to two of those things, right? You can make sure to be mindful about the way that you share your experience, and then you can also make sure to be available to answer questions should anybody have any, if they feel they don't understand. Because if people can't understand, they won't understand, and if people won't understand, then it's not going to change anyway. So just making sure to be available, right, in however you choose, depending on the platform that you use to share your journaling, right, to just make sure that people know that you are available if they have any questions or feedback or comments, and so on and so on. Because do I feel it's worth journaling otherwise? Yes, 100%, absolutely, because that is important for just providing an added example of, well, vulnerability, but also diversity, of showing your path in life. I can say with confidence, right, that you and I have walked very different paths, and even when I'm promoting dwell on it, answering questions that other people provide, I'm sharing my lived experience. I'm not sharing a unanimous experience. I'm not sharing this. My relationship with my mother is the exact same as every other trans person out there. No, right? I'm sharing my lived experience, and I want to make sure that others recognize that other people have different lived experiences too. But this is an example of at least one, so that people can at least resonate with that story. Yeah, so I feel it's worth journaling, but for you. And then, like I said, just, be available with it as you see fit. And then just make sure that if people want to learn more, do what you can about it. Because sharing your story for others to hear is pretty important, especially in today's day and age. We need more people to share what it's like, right? Because it's shared far too often about what they feel it's like without really having any sort of experience with it themselves, right? And they'll just create this fictitious idea to assume what other people's live like, or what other people's lives are like. I think that sums it up. That was fun again and again. And so, like I said, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to throw this one up on Instagram, and I hope it works again. And the format that I'm going to follow now is something very similar to that, where I'm just going to grab bag, still keep it to a half an hour or so, and then I'll just throw that up on Instagram at 6 p.m. on the regular, and do a YouTube replay as well on my own channel to have a compressed version of it until IG gets back to me with their support. And then whatever happens from there happens. So thanks for checking us out. Right, sorry this took so long to upload, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Okay, bye.